Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild. We are looking at a fascinating social experiment that totally blurs the line between a high-stakes game and a hardcore study of behavioral economics and human psychology. Just imagine this for a second. You are stripped of every comfort, every routine, and every single connection to the outside world. You're placed inside a sensory deprivation experiment that is masquerading as a challenge. We're going to break down exactly how extreme isolation, mind-numbing boredom, and highly targeted temptation can completely rewire how a human being values money, comfort, and ultimately human connection.
Okay, let's dive into this. The entire premise rests on a grueling timeline. 100 days. That is over 3 entire months trapped inside a single, confined space. And it's a time frame specifically chosen because it's long enough to completely shatter a person's normal psychological defenses. A weekend in isolation, well, that's a retreat. 100 days? That is a literal mental marathon.
But the catch is, they aren't going it alone. The experiment takes 2 complete strangers, Bailey and Susie, and forces them into extreme, inescapable proximity. So this isn't just about surviving the harsh environment. It is entirely about surviving each other. Taking their blindfolds off inside that chamber was legitimately the very first time they had ever laid eyes on one another.
So, what is the glue holding these 2 random strangers together? $500,000 in cold hard cash, just sitting there in a vault. But there is a massive, incredibly manipulative catch. If one person decides to tap out and leave before the 100 days are up, they both walk away with absolutely nothing. The crucial point here is that they are essentially holding each other hostage. Your own willpower is completely tethered to a total stranger's breaking point.
Section 1. The $500,000 room. Designing discomfort.
Let's talk about the physical environment, because it was meticulously engineered to break their minds. This was not a luxury suite, okay? It was a completely blank white cube. No clocks, no windows, and absolutely no organic concept of time. On top of that, the creators pumped in blinding, constant overhead lights that physically stung their eyes. And they provided identical canned chicken and beef for every single meal. Without any natural environmental cues, their circadian rhythms just instantly collapsed. In fact, on just day 2, Bailey and Susie woke up and started their day at 2:37 in the morning, completely oblivious to what time it actually was in the real world.
The human brain desperately craves stimulation, right? And when it doesn't get it, it manufactures it. Just look at this rapid descent into cabin fever. By day 4, they are literally tearing up journal paper just to craft a makeshift deck of playing cards. By day 5, they're trying to hack the isolation by tricking the camera crew into signing a fake sign-in sheet just so they can secretly track the date. And by day 7, Bailey has completely lost it and is whipping pieces of canned pork and vegetables for target practice. The desperation for any kind of entertainment is just palpable.
Section 2. The psychology of temptation. Monetizing desires. Once the creators established a baseline of absolute misery, they started to weaponize the contestants' own desires. The experiment introduced this cadence of temptations, deliberately escalating to test their willpower. On day 10, right when they are completely sick of canned meat, a private chef is offered. On day 20, when their eyes are burning from the glare, the ability to turn off the lights and get a real bed is dangled right in front of them. These offers weren't random. They were surgically targeted directly at whatever the creators overheard them complaining about.
Now, what's really interesting about this setup is the complete distortion of economics inside that cube. Look at these hyper-inflated price tags, and remember, they were asked to pay this out of their shared prize money. Out in the real world, a smart bed might run you a few $1,000s. Inside the cube, it's extorting them for $50,000. 10 minutes to see their families cost 20 grand. Basic spices and a coffee maker, another 20 grand. The creators essentially built a hyper-inflated microeconomy where the currency isn't just cash, it is literally their own sanity.
And man, the creators were just ruthless. After overhearing Susie say that the only thing she'd ever spend money on is a Tesla, they brought in a massive $50,000 mystery box on day 60. Susie and Bailey, trying to be financially responsible and not wanting to get scammed, rejected the box. But here is the devastating psychological blow. That box secretly contained their 50 grand back, plus the keys to 2 brand new Teslas. It was a brutal missed opportunity that haunted Susie for days. It just made the isolation feel endlessly worse.
But our contestants weren't entirely helpless victims in all this. I absolutely love this moment. Earlier on, they had rejected paying tens of thousands of dollars for movies on a TV, so the creators just left the useless TV in the room to taunt them. But on day 40, Bailey realized a profound, simple truth. An antenna is just a piece of metal. So he ripped a frayed wire off the wall, jammed it into the back of the TV, and actually managed to pirate 7 digital channels. Suddenly, 2 people who never even cared about cars were obsessively watching digital racing networks. It was a brilliant $0 hack that bought them days of mental reprieve.
Section 3. Cabin fever sets in. The $100,101 splurge. Eventually, though, every dam breaks. By day 70, with just 30 days left to go, the creators offered a massive blind auction. For a secret minimum price, they could buy everything they had previously rejected. Exhausted and totally broken down, they finally caved, dropping exactly $100,101 to buy back their comforts. But here is the brilliant psychological takeaway. Dropping $100,000 on comforts didn't actually buy them happiness. With entertainment finally introduced, their vastly different coping mechanisms violently clashed. Susie wanted introverted isolation. She wanted to read and watch movies in total silence, even going so far as to hide the Monopoly dice so Bailey couldn't ask her to play. Bailey, on the other hand, was crawling the walls with extroverted energy, throwing literal solo raves at 3 a.m. They transformed from survival partners into deeply annoyed siblings trapped in a living room.
Section 4. The Final Dilemma. Game Theory in Action.
Despite all the friction, they survived. But as we transition to day 100, the explainer takes a sharp turn into high-stakes psychology. Their newly forged, slightly rocky friendship is put to the ultimate test. On the final day, they are separated and presented with the classic prisoner's dilemma, which is super famous in behavioral economics. They have a button. They can either choose to split the remaining prize money of roughly $360,000, or they can choose to steal it from the other person. And this brilliantly illustrates the terrifying maths of the situation. If they both trust each other and hit split, they both walk away rich. If one steals while the other splits, the stealer takes it all, completely punishing the trusting party. But the true horror is that bottom scenario. If greed takes over and they both hit steal, they both leave with $0. 100 days of blinding lights, extreme boredom, and lost time, all for absolutely nothing. It is a perfect mechanism for mutually assured destruction.
As that timer ticked down to the final second, the tension was just immense. But the outcome? Incredibly heartwarming. Despite the psychological warfare, both Bailey and Susie locked and split. Susie's reasoning is just so powerful. She realized that overcoming the darkness of the challenge was a massive victory in itself. They both proved that shared trauma and genuine human connection can actually triumph over millions of dollars of temptation and pure greed.
Which brings us to the ultimate question for you to take away from this explainer. We all like to think we're honorable, right? But placed in a white cube for 100 days, stripped of your sanity, annoyed by your partner, and staring down hundreds of thousands of dollars, would you split or would you steal? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and I will see you in the next one.